Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. And I have to be honest with you, I woke up this morning, grabbed my coffee, looked out the window here in Southern California, and I just felt confused.
Confused. It's a beautiful morning. The sun is out. The traffic on the 405 is moving at a brisk 12 miles per hour. What is there to be confused about?
It's the vibe, though. It's this weird disconnect. On one hand, I'm reading the headlines on my phone and everything seems shiny. The charts are all pointing up. But then I go to my favorite coffee spot or I talk to my friends who run small businesses in the South Bay, and the mood is just heavy. It feels tight.
You're picking up on the defining paradox of our current moment.
Is it just me? Am I just being pessimistic?
Not at all. You're actually feeling the exact friction point described in the data we're looking at today. We're focusing specifically on California Assembly District 67, that bridge between Northern Orange County and the South Bay. And the data confirms exactly what you're feeling. The macro economy says growth, but the micro economy, the person on the street economy, says squeeze.
So I'm not crazy. That's a relief. But we need to unpack why that's happening. Because today we're doing something a little different. We aren't just looking at the scary economic numbers. We're looking at how those numbers have actually sort of birthed a completely new way of doing business.
Right. We're connecting the high-level forecast, the clouds, if you will, to the ground level. We're looking at a solution that is emerging right now in San Pedro.
We're talking about Voxel Microvideo Labs.
Or voxelmicrovideolabs.com, to be precise. You have to get the .com in there.
Right. Brand identity. And what's wild to me is that this isn't just a story about a new business opening up. It feels like a case study in survival. It's about how you navigate an economy that, honestly, feels designed to make you fail.
It is a story about adaptation. It really is. We have a stack of sources here. The 2026 economic forecast for CA Assembly District 67, a comparative breakdown of sound stages versus microlabs, and then the origin story of the building itself, the Don Allen experience.
A lot to get into, but I want to start with the big picture. The mission for this deep dive is to answer a specific question. In an economy defined by what they're calling jobless growth, which is a terrifying phrase, by the way, and just crushingly high costs, how do local creators and businesses actually survive?
That is the multi-million-dollar question. It's what every small business owner is asking themselves right now.
So let's start with the weather report. Not the actual weather, but the economic weather. We're looking at AD 67. For people who don't have a map tattooed on their eyelids, where exactly we're talking about?
Imagine a corridor, a really dense, economically vital corridor. You have Northern Orange County, so you're talking places like Anaheim, Buena Park, Fullerton, and it stretches across into the South Bay, catching areas like Cerritos and Lakewood.
Okay, so a huge mix of communities.
A huge mix. It's massive. It's industrious. You have tourism from the theme parks. You have the remnants of the aerospace industry. You have massive logistics hubs because of the ports. It's this incredible blend of economic activity.
It's the engine room of Southern California.
Ideally, yes, it should be the engine room. But let's look at the numbers for 2026, because this is where the confusion you're talking about starts.
Okay, let's get into it.
The forecast shows that California's GDP, the gross domestic product, the total value of everything we make and do, is projected to grow by 2.2%.
Okay, 2.2%. That sounds fine. I mean, it's positive. It's not a recession.
It's better than fine. It's actually outperforming the national average for the United States.
Yeah.
So on paper, California is a winning stock. The state is generating more wealth, more output, more value than it was last year.
So champagne for everyone. We're all getting richer.
Well, put the cork back in.
Yeah.
Because here is the other number. The job market growth in that specific SCAG region, the Southern California Association of Governments region, is forecast at 0.8%.
Wait, say that again?
0.8%.
That's basically zero. That's a rounding error.
It is statistically stagnant. It's a flat line.
Hold on. I need you to explain this to me like I'm 5 years old. How can the GDP, the amount of money we are making as a state, go up by over 2%, but the number of jobs stays flat? If companies are making more money, shouldn't they be hiring more people? That's Econ 101.
Historically, yes. That was the deal. The company grows, it hires more people, those people have money to spend, and the economy grows for everyone. In 2026, no, that deal is off the table.
So what's the new deal?
This is the phenomenon of jobless growth. And to understand it, you have to look at how companies are growing. It's all about one word.
Let me guess. AI.
Close. It's efficiency. Let's say you run a mid-sized tech firm in Irvine. In 2022, if your revenue went up 10%, you might hire 5 new junior developers, a project manager, and a marketing coordinator.
Right. Bodies in seats. You expand the team to handle the new work.
But in 2026, you don't do that. Instead, you take that revenue and you license a new enterprise AI agent that can write code or manage projects. You upgrade your software stack to automate your billing. You implement a chatbot system to handle 80% of your customer service queues. You are generating more output, more revenue, but you are doing it with capital investment in technology, not by adding headcount.
So the employee getting that investment isn't a college grad from Cal State Long Beach. It's a server rack somewhere in Virginia or an algorithm developed in Silicon Valley.
Precisely. The forecast specifically points out that the high-wage sectors, we're talking information, professional services, the kinds of jobs that form the backbone of the middle class, are actually shedding jobs or running incredibly lean. They've figured out how to decouple their revenue from their payroll.
That is incredibly depressing for anyone looking for a job or trying to move up.
It's a structural shift, and it creates a very specific pressure. If you are a business owner, you're operating with a smaller team than ever before. You are likely wearing 5 hats instead of 2. Your marketing person is also your HR person who also orders the coffee.
Been there.
And you have absolutely no budget to waste because even though your top-line revenue might be up, the cost of just keeping the lights on is astronomical.
Let's talk about those costs,
Okay.
because that's the other side of the squeeze. The forecast calls it an affordability crisis in real time. That's a very dramatic phrase.
It is, and it's accurate.
Right.
This is the part that everyone feels every single day. In 8067, the median rent is hovering around $2,100 a month.
And that's median. That means for every slightly cheaper place that costs $1,500, there's a place costing $2,700.
Exactly. And good luck finding the $1,500 one. Meanwhile, median home values are over $700,000. So the dream of ownership is it's out of reach for a huge number of people who live and work there.
And what about just, buying groceries, inflation?
So the headline number, the CPI Consumer Price Index, is cooling. The forecast says it'll be about 3.3% for 2026.
3.3% doesn't sound too bad compared to the inflation spikes we saw a few years ago. Everyone was panicked about 8 or 9%.
It's better, yes. The fever has broken. But you have to remember, inflation is cumulative. That 3.3% is on top of the 5% from last year and the 8% from the year before that. Prices aren't going down, they are just going up slightly slower.
So the gallon of milk that shot up to $6 is now $6.20 instead of $7.
Yeah.
But it's not going back to $4.
It is never going back to $4. And your paycheck probably hasn't kept up with that total increase. That's the squeeze. It's the gap between what things cost and what you earn.
And this creates a political reality too, right? The source touches on that.
It does. It mentions that independent voters make up about 25% of this district. A huge chunk.
The swing vote, they decide elections.
And the data shows these voters are prioritizing one thing above all else. Affordability, not ideology, not party labels. They care about who can make the rent check clear, who can make it easier to fill up the gas tank. It's pure kitchen table economics.
So if I could synthesize this whole landscape section, we have a paradox. The big picture economy is growing, but for the actual humans on the ground, it's a grind. Businesses are running lean, efficient, but are totally understaffed. People are employed but feel broke because of the cost of living.
That is a perfect summary. And this environment, this pressure cooker, it forces a change in behavior. Specifically, it forces businesses to rethink how they market themselves.
Why specifically marketing? Why not, supply chain management?
Because in a cooling economy, competition heats up. If fewer people have disposable income, you have to fight harder for every single dollar. You need to be visible. You need to be memorable. You need to be loud.
But you just said nobody has any budget.
And there is the trap, the Hollywood trap, as you called it. You need to market to survive, but you can't afford the traditional tools of marketing, especially here in Southern California.
Right. We are in the shadow of the industry. It's impossible to escape.
We are. And that proximity, that idea of what professional looks like, can be really dangerous for a small business.
I know exactly what you mean. I drive down Rosecrans Avenue all the time. You go through Manhattan Beach and you see those buildings.
Yeah.
You know the ones? Massive, beige, no windows. They look like fortresses.
Manhattan Beach Studios. That's where they do the big stuff.
Right. And you know that inside, they're filming The Mandalorian or some huge Marvel movie with $1 billion budget.
Right.
And as a small business owner, maybe you run a local accounting firm or real estate agency, you look at that and think, that is the standard. That's what quality looks like. If I want to look professional, I need to go there. I need that level of production.
It's the Hollywood fantasy. It's the idea that high quality equals high complexity and high cost. But the source document we have, this comparison between sound stages and microlabs, it just breaks this down brutally.
Walk me through the reality. Say I'm that business owner, I've got a little extra cash, and I decide I'm going to rent a soundstage to film my podcast about tax tips. What happens?
Okay, so first, you call them up, you book the stage, and what you're renting is what they call an empty box.
An empty box.
Literally. You get 4 concrete walls, a concrete floor, and a lighting grid on the ceiling. That is it. It's a warehouse.
So no cameras, no microphones, no lights?
Nothing. 0. You have to rent the lighting package separately. That's one vendor. Then you have to hire a gaffer and a grip to actually set those lights up. That's 2 more people on the payroll for the day.
Okay, the cash registers is already ringing in my head. This is getting complicated.
Oh, we're just getting started. You need cameras. So you rent those. Yeah. And you need camera operator, probably 2 of them for a decent shoot. Then you need sound. So you hire a sound engineer with his own gear.
So I'm now managing a team of, 5 or 6 freelancers?
At least. And it gets worse. You need insurance. Most of these professional stages, they require you to have a $1 million liability policy just to step foot on the lot.
$1 million policy?
Yeah.
Just to record a video talking about IRA contributions?
Yes. Because what if the gaffer drops a light on your guest's head? They have to be covered. And don't forget craft services.
Crafty, the famous stale bagels and lukewarm coffee.
You have to feed the crew you just hired. It's part of the union rules, part of the standard practice, so you're paying for that too.
Okay, add it all up for me. The bottom line.
By the time you're done, the source estimates that a single, simple 30-minute business podcast could cost you upwards of $5,000.
$5,000 for 30 minutes of content that I still have to edit and post myself.
And that is just the money. Let's talk about the time, the friction. The source notes that the setup time for a shoot like this, the load in, lighting the set, doing a sound check, is often a minimum of 4 hours.
4 hours? I don't have 4 hours to watch someone adjust a light stand. I have a business to run. I have clients to call.
That is the fundamental misalignment. The comparison the analysis here makes is perfect. They say using a Hollywood soundstage for a LinkedIn video is like renting a semi-truck to move a house.
When all you need to do is drive a Tesla.
I love that.
It's overkill. It's inefficient. It's the wrong tool for the job.
It's applying what you called art logic to a business problem.
Exactly. Art is allowed to be slow. Art is allowed to be expensive and inefficient because the goal is a masterpiece. The process is part of the art. But business, especially in the 2026 economy, business needs to be fast. It needs to be lean. And this connects right back to that jobless growth thing, right? If I'm running that lean team, if my marketing person is also my HR person, I can't spare them for an entire day plus travel just to shoot one video.
You absolutely cannot afford the friction. The opportunity cost is too high.
So we have the landscape, tough, tight, efficient. We have the problem. The old tools are too slow, too complex, and way too expensive.
Now let's talk about the pivot, because this is where Voxel Micro Video Labs enters the chat.
And geographically, they're just down the road. They're not in some far-flung location.
Right down Sepulveda in San Pedro, a completely different vibe from Manhattan Beach.
A world away. The branding is voxelmicrovideolabs.com, and they are explicitly positioning themselves as the antidote to the soundstage. They call it a microlab.
I like that term. Lab implies you're doing work, you're experimenting, you're being productive.
And a micro implies efficiency, speed, focus. They're set to open in summer 2026. And the core value proposition is simple and direct. Hollywood quality, South Bay speed.
Okay, so that's the marketing pitch. Peel back the curtain. How is it actually different? If I walk into Voxel, am I seeing an empty concrete box?
No, absolutely not. You are walking into what the source describes as a fully integrated technological ecosystem. The key phrase they use is plug and play. I love plug and play. But usually that just means we have an outlet and the Wi-Fi password.
In this case, it means radical automation. They have leveraged that robust growth in tech and AI, remember that from the economic forecast, to completely replace the need for a crew.
Replace the crew, the whole crew.
The whole crew. The cameras are robotic. They're pre-positioned and can be controlled from a simple touch panel. The lighting is permanently installed in the ceiling and tuned for perfect video. The rooms are acoustically treated.
So there's no guy named Steve adjusting the boom mic for an hour.
There is no Steve. There is no boom mic drifting into the top of the frame. There's no gaffer asking you to hold on for 10 minutes while he changes a gel.
Sorry to all the Steves out there. We love you, but you're expensive and time-consuming.
That is the entire point. By removing that entire layer of human labor from the production process, they claim you can save 80% of the cost.
80%. That turns that $5,000 soundstage nightmare into, what, like $1,000 or less.
Potentially even less, depending on the membership model they roll out. But for me, the bigger saving is the other number they quote. 90% of the headache.
The headache factor.
You aren't managing a production. You're not coordinating 5 freelancer schedules. You're not worrying about insurance. You are just walking in and recording your content.
It sounds like they're turning video production into a utility, like turning on a faucet or plugging into an outlet. The infrastructure is just there.
That is the perfect analogy. And this brings us to the Agile Realtor case study from the source material. I think this is the absolute best way to understand why this model matters in 2026.
I read this in the notes and it stressed me out just reading it
Yeah.
because it feels so incredibly real.
Let's play it out. Imagine you are a realtor in Manhattan Beach. It's a Tuesday morning in 2026. The real estate market has been dead for 2 years because interest rates are high. It's been a slug.
Okay, I'm with you.
Suddenly, at 10:00 a.m., the Federal Reserve makes a surprise announcement. They drop interest rates by 50 basis points, 0.5%.
Which, according to the economic forecast, is a very real possibility in 2026 as they try to juice the housing market.
Right. So, boom, the news hits. This is the moment you have been waiting for 2 years. Buyers who have been sitting on the sidelines are going to wake up. Sellers need to know what this means. You need to be the first person to tell your clients what this means.
Speed is everything here. It's the only thing that matters.
In the old model, the Hollywood trap model, what do? You call your video guy. He says, I'm on a shoot in Santa Monica. I'm booked until Thursday. You say, please, it's an emergency. He says, okay, I can squeeze you in next Tuesday, but it's double my usual rate.
A week later.
A week later, you shoot the video. He takes another 3 days to edit it and send it to you.
By the time I get that video, the rates might have changed again. Or worse, every other realtor in the South Bay has already posted a dozen grainy videos from their iPhone. My message is completely lost.
Exactly. You are irrelevant. You missed the window. Now look at the voxel way, the microlab way.
Give it to me.
The news hits at 10:00 a.m. You pull out your phone. You log into the voxel booking portal. You see an open slot at 11:30 a.m. You book it.
It's like booking a haircut.
It's like booking a conference room.
Yeah.
You get in your car. You drive down Sepulveda to San Pedro. You walk in. You sit down in a pre-lit, beautiful set. You press a button on a simple control panel on the wall.
And the robots wake up.
The robotic cameras come to life. The audio is perfect. You look into the lens and you talk for 15 minutes. Hey, everyone. Huge news from the Fed. Rates just dropped. Here's what it means for your mortgage. Here's what it means for home values in our area. Call me. You press stop.
And the file. Where does it go?
The file is instantly available in the cloud. You download it to your phone. You can upload it to LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube while you're sitting in your car in the parking lot or grabbing lunch at the point.
So by 1:00 p.m., less than 3 hours after the news broke, I am the authority. I own the narrative in my market.
While your competitor is still leaving voicemails for his cameraman and trying to figure out liability insurance, this is what the expert analysis in the source means when it says, in bold letters, speed is a ranking factor.
That is fascinating. We usually think of ranking factors as like SEO, keywords, or hashtags. But you're saying kindliness itself is the algorithm.
The social media algorithms favor freshness and relevance. The market, the actual human market, favors agility. Voxel isn't just selling you access to a camera. They are selling you the ability to be first.
Agility allows the small fish to outmaneuver the big fish.
It's the great equalizer. The big brokerage with the massive marketing budget can't move this fast. Their process is too slow.
But, and this is a big, for me, efficiency can feel cold.
Yeah.
It can feel sterile, you know. If I just wanted fast and cheap, I could talk to my webcam in my spare bedroom with a pile of laundry behind me.
A very valid point, and a lot of people do that.
But Voxel isn't a webcam, and it's not in some generic office park in Irvine. This is where the story gets actual soul. This is where it gets interesting. We need to talk about the building.
Yes. This is section 4 in our outline, the origin story. Or, as they call it, the Don Allen experience.
I was looking at the photos of this place on their site, voxelmicrovideolabs.com. This is not drywall and drop ceilings. This is something else entirely.
No, this is a building on 6th Street in San Pedro with real bones. It was built in 1922.
1922. Let's just context that for a second. That's the roaring 20s. That's flappers and jazz. San Pedro was a booming, gritty port town.
It was the heart of the waterfront. And this building, It started its life as a J.C. Penney.
A J.C. Penney. Wow.
And back then, a department store wasn't just a shop. It was a civic center. It was a landmark. It was where the town came to be civilized to see the latest fashions from back east.
And what about the rumors about prohibition? I saw a mention of that.
There are whispers. The source mentions rumors of it being a hideout for contraband smuggled in through the port. Which, I mean, it's a port town in the 20s with a big basement. It makes a lot of sense.
So you have this century of history soaked into the walls.
And it went through many lives after that. It was a Paul Center in the 80s, a dance studio in the 2000s. But by 2020, like so many old buildings, it had fallen silent. It was empty, decaying.
Enter Jennifer Wolfe and Edwin Duterte,
the founders. And their background is absolutely key to understanding why this place is what it is. Jennifer is a therapist. Edwin comes from the world of tech and business.
A therapist and a tech guy walk into a bar. Or, in this case, a ruin.
A ruin is much more accurate. They bought this building, and they didn't just want to flip it or put in another generic business. They wanted to build a legacy. They named the entire project the Don Allen Experience after Jennifer's parents.
I was really touched by the descriptions of her parents in the source material. It wasn't just, this is in memory of mom and dad. It was deeper.
Much deeper. They called Donna, her mother, who was a psychologist, the lantern.
The lantern. What a beautiful way to describe someone.
It's about empathy as a discipline. The idea that empathy isn't just about being nice. It's a tool, a light that actively guides you through the fog and the darkness.
And Alan, her dad.
Her father was a cardiologist and also a venture capitalist. They called him the spine.
The backbone.
He provided the structure. He funded dreams. He gave people the literal and figurative capital, the support, to stand up straight and pursue their goals. So this building is designed to be the physical manifestation of those two forces, empathy and support, lantern and spine.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Even the name of the business, Voxel, that connects back to the dad too, right? I just assumed it was a cool tech word.
It is a cool tech word. It's a volumetric pixel, a 3D pixel, but it has a much deeper, more personal meaning here. Alan, her father, had a medical imaging company called Voxel years ago.
How did it do?
And it failed.
Oh, that's
The
unexpected.
company went under, it didn't work out. But by them naming their new venture Voxel, it's a profound philosophical statement. They are intentionally reclaiming that failure. Their stated philosophy is, failure is just the first draft of success.
Failure is the first draft of success.
I think I need to tattoo that on my arm. That's powerful. It's an incredibly powerful framing, especially for creators and entrepreneurs who are terrified of failing. This place is basically saying, it's okay, the first draft is supposed to be messy.
But let's not make this sound like a fairy tale, because the actual story of the renovation, oh man, the script describes it as a complete nightmare.
It was an absolute disaster. They bought a 1922 building, and 1922 decided to push back hard.
Give me the gory details.
Yeah.
What went wrong?
How much time do you have? The source lists 17 separate roof leaks. Imagine that. It rains, and there are 17 different waterfalls inside your building.
It's a symphony of drips, just constant water torture.
The wiring was from the 1950s, that old cloth-covered wire that's basically a fuse waiting to light, a fire hazard in every wall. And my personal favorite detail, the fire sprinklers.
What about them?
Over the decades, they had been painted shut. Layer after layer of paint had sealed the mechanism.
And it's shut, so if there was an actual fire,
They would have been purely decorative, completely useless.
that is terrifying. Just fundamentally terrifying.
So the budget, as the source puts it, detonated. It just exploded. And there's this visceral scene described in their origin story where Jennifer and Edwin are standing in the middle of the debris. It's dusty. It smells like old plaster and rot. And Jennifer just whispers to him, I think we made a mistake.
That is the dark night of the soul moment for every entrepreneur.
Yeah,
The moment you think you've ruined your life.
it is. But then the turning point, the pivot. And it comes from their son, Nathan.
The kid on the scooter, I loved this part.
Yes. Little Nathan comes zooming by on his scooter, weaving through the piles of construction mess. He sees his parents looking completely defeated. He stops. He pats one of the crumbling, exposed brick walls, and he says, It's okay, Mommy, I'm fixing it too.
Oh, that just gets me right in the heart. That is pure, undiluted optimism from a child.
And that one sentence completely shifted their perspective. Jennifer, thinking like the therapist she is, realized they shouldn't try to hide the damage. They shouldn't just put up drywall to cover the history and make it look like a sterile dentist's office.
They decided to let the scars show.
Exactly. They treated the renovation like a therapy session for the building. They decided not to cover the imperfections, but to celebrate them. They sandblasted the walls to reveal the original 1922 brick. They kept the exposed industrial beams. They let the grit and the history and the scars shine through.
So when you walk into Vauxhall today, you aren't in a white box. You are surrounded by 100 years of resilience.
And that matters for the video you create there. It's not just a backdrop.
Right. And this brings us to the strategy section, Section 5. Why San Pedro? Why now? Why not just build this tech-enabled studio in a cheaper warehouse in the desert?
This is Geography as Strategy. We talked about Manhattan Beach being these expensive industrial cold warehouses. San Pedro is fundamentally different.
The source calls it the creative engine of the port.
It has texture, it has soul. And in the age of AI and deepfakes, which we are living in, authenticity is the rarest and most valuable currency.
Explain that connection for me. Why does a brick wall matter from my TikTok video about market trends?
Because people are tired of fake. Our brains are now hardwired to detect things that are too perfect, too slick. If you film in a green screen room or a sterile white void or against a fake-looking digital background, the audience subconsciously feels a distance. It feels manufactured. It triggers their internal BS detector.
But if I'm standing in front of a real 1922 brick wall with all its imperfections,
it signals real. It signals stability. It signals that you are grounded in a real place with real history. The environment itself does 50% of the work of building trust and credibility with your viewer before you even open your mouth.
it's the vibe check again. The space has a good vibe, so you have a good vibe.
It's a transference of authenticity. Exactly.
Now, there is one more massive strategic piece here that we have to talk about, and it's about timing. They are opening in summer 2026. What else is happening in late 2026 that's kind of a big deal?
The FIFA World Cup.
Only the biggest single sporting event on the planet.
And Los Angeles is a host city. The economic forecast we started with explicitly predicts a major, massive surge in tourism and hospitality in the second half of the year. Millions of people from all over the world.
And they're all coming to our region, to Southern California.
And what do tourists do? They look at their phones. They're constantly searching for best tacos near me, coolest bar in San Pedro, things to do in Long Beach this weekend.
So if you are a local business, a restaurant, a shop, a tour guide, this is your Super Bowl. This is the moment.
It is the tailwind, as the forecast calls it. Vauxhall is opening its doors at the perfect moment to be the incubator for these local businesses to prepare for that wave.
So if I own a burger joint in Long Beach, I can go to Vauxhall in July. I can shoot a dozen high-quality, authentic videos of my food, my staff, my story, all in this cool, gritty studio.
And then by August, September, when the tourists from Europe and South America and Asia arrive, your digital storefront, your Instagram, your TikTok, your website looks absolutely world-class. You look like the place to be.
You are manufacturing luck. You're preparing for the opportunity before it arrives.
You are manufacturing what the report calls creative resilience. You are using the tools of the future, the robotic cameras, inside a building from the past, the 1922 structure, to capture the massive economic opportunity of the present, which is the World Cup.
That is a beautiful synthesis. Past, present, and future all working together.
It really is a masterclass in strategic alignment.
Before we wrap this all up and connect the dots, I have to mention one small detail from the source material that I just absolutely loved. The studio names.
The naming convention, yeah.
You go to a normal, boring production studio, and it's Stage A, Stage B, Studio 1, cold and functional. What did they do at Vauxhall?
They name the studios after their 12 nieces and nephews.
Which is just incredibly sweet and personal.
And their 7 family cats.
You're going to say that. I want to book the cat studio. Do we know any of the names?
The source doesn't list them all, but I can only imagine telling a client, yes, we'll be recording our quarterly financial report in the Whisker Suite this afternoon. It sets a very specific, non-corporate tone.
And the best part is, the kids don't know yet, right? This is a surprise.
That's right. It is going to be revealed to the family at the grand opening party this summer.
That is going to be absolute chaos. Why did my brother get the big studio with the windows and I got the small vocal booth?
And why did Mittens the cat get the executive suite with the best light?
Exactly. It's brilliant.
But it speaks directly to that family legacy aspect we talked about. This isn't a private equity firm flipping a building. This is a family pouring their heart, their history, and their future into a community project.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. Let's do the final synthesis. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. It's a big story.
We started with the confusing, paradoxical economy of AD 67. high costs, stagnant hiring, the jobless growth trap that's squeezing everyone.
We then identified the problem that this economy creates for small businesses. The old Hollywood tools for marketing are broken. They are too slow, too complicated, and financially out of reach.
And then we found the solution, or at least a solution: Voxel Micro Video Labs, a place that uses technology and automation to dramatically lower the barrier to entry. It makes professional video a utility, not a luxury.
And it does it from a place of deep, hard-won authenticity in a building that has as much character as the creators it hopes to attract.
The founders talk about the building as a phoenix rising from the ashes of its own decay.
They do. It's a powerful metaphor.
And I think that is the challenge, the provocative thought for you listening today. Whether you're a realtor, a restaurant owner, a creator, or just someone trying to navigate this weird 2026 economy.
The question is, what are you building? In this environment, are you trying to build a Hollywood blockbuster, something massive, slow, and expensive that might flop and take you down with it?
Or are you building an engine?
An agile engine. Are you building something lean and fast that can actually move your business forward, that can pivot and catch the opportunities like a sudden drop in interest rates or a wave of global tourists when they appear?
The founders asked a question in the source material, an invitation reel.
Yeah.
The phoenix is rising, but she can't do it alone. Will you rise with her?
That is the invitation to the community. It's not just about them. It's about the entire ecosystem.
I love that. Well, this has been a fascinating look at how a single building and a single business can act as a mirror, reflecting the entire economic moment we're living in.
It really is a microcosm of 2026, a story of resilience.
If you want to check out the deep dive materials, see the economic charts we've been referencing, or just look at the pictures of the renovation seriously, go look at the brickwork, head over to voxelmicrovideolabs.com.
Definitely worth a look. The before and after shots are incredible.
I'm still thinking about the cat studio names. I think I'd name a studio after my old cat, Chaos. Just Studio Chaos. It would be truth in advertising.
I had a cat named Professor Paws. I think the Professor Paws suite sounds very distinguished. Very academic.
I would definitely have to wear a tweed jacket with elbow patches to record in there. It would be required.
As you should. It would complete the vibe.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Keep rising, keep building, and remember, failure is just the first draft. We'll see you in the next deep dive.